I'm with Tom Furness at the AWE 2017 conference in Santa Clara, California. And it's a large exhibition of augmented reality, virtual reality. It's very interesting in that there's a, different than the Consumer Electronics Show, there's a bigger mix of things that are applied into the business environment, into the enterprise environment, into education, which I didn't see so much at CES. And Tom, you are the founder and chairman of the Virtual World Society, so that's also something I didn't see at CES. So why don't you tell me a little bit about you and about the society and where you think AR and VR are going, because you're the grandfather of virtual reality, right?
Well, that's what I've been labeled, amongst other things. But it's wonderful to be here, and thank you for this opportunity. This is a very interesting conference, and it is grown out of the sort of more the commercial side of an application of AR and VR. Most of the conferences up to this time have been more scientific oriented, and where you have the academics mainly show up and talk about the research they're doing. But here we have the companies that are actually pushing this technology and pushing it for enterprise applications, in particular vertical markets that can use it. But one of the things that I'm bringing into this, even though I've been involved in all those before, I mean, I've spun off 27 companies, you know, in this, and I've been working on VR for 52 years, both in the Department of Defense and as an academic. But what I think is missing and what needs to come out of it is the so what, answering the so what question. You know, we get so intoxicated by technology. And technology is really supposed to be a tool to help us. And really, technology doesn't solve problems. People solve problems, but we can use these tools to help us. And I think we need to be asking or answering the question, what if, or so what? How do we really use this to lift mankind? Because VR, we know from all the research we've done over these many years, it's really powerful. It gets bandwidth to the brain we've never had before. It activates a memory that we've never had before. It really is like splitting the atom as far as humans are concerned, and brains and getting bandwidth to the brain. So I think that the things that to me are the most important things are how do we use this to lift mankind in terms of education, in terms of medicine, in terms of solving pervasive problems and global warming and renewable energy and AIDS in Africa and you name it, you know. And that to me is really the sustainable environment. Otherwise we're having a flash in the pan, you know. It's one of these things, you do something and it doesn't live very long. But if we're solving pervasive problems with this, that means there really is a market, and a sustainable market, and it will help grow the technology. We've been operating up to this time in technology push mode. We've working on technology, and we're sort of pushing it for a fit, you know, sort of like throwing it out there and see what sticks. Right. When in fact we need to look at it, I think, from the other direction, from an applications pull, and look at and characterize these problems we need to solve and see how we would configure VR, AR technology to solve those problems. And certainly education is one of them. One of the hot buttons for me is that really the best classroom in the world is the home, is the living room, because there's more technology in homes than we'll ever see in the schools, when you think about it.
That's true.
And so how are we using that technology? Right now, it's sort of, in a way, it's sort of isolating. Because the kids have their own you know, games that they're playing, the parents have their thing. But I believe it can be unifying rather than isolating. For example, what if families could go off on expeditions in virtual reality, go solve problems, go take a starship, explore the universe, look at exobiology or you know, astrobiology to see what planets are out there that would sustain life, and that's something the family would never forget. Right. And it's building relationships there, and it's also the families learning together. So lifelong learning in the home seems to be for me a hot spot. Now, I formed the Virtual World Society um, because I felt that we needed to have a better way of looking at these pulls, these what-if problems.
Right.
Certainly the technology sort of take care of itself. I'm happy that it is progressing, but nobody's really working systematically on the pulls except some of the vertical markets. But the common person, you know, we're talking about vertical markets, I'm interested in the horizontal market, and the horizontal market of people in homes and people in everyday life that can use this to enrich their lives. And so I've formed the Virtual World Society to concentrate on that. We're a nonprofit, 501c3, with dedicated to basically unlocking minds and linking hearts and working on these pervasive problems, ones that are around us all the time. For example, we have a refugee problem. Refugees want to learn, and they want to contribute in their new place.
Yes.
And wow, but there's a real problem of how do you do that? The universal language can be this VR, because VR is a much more effective tool, I think, for teaching from the inside out than anything else. So acquiring skill sets that can be useful in, you know, a new land. Same is true with getting people in situations where they've been abandoned or isolated. Elderly people who are in nursing homes. We're finding that when we put them in a virtual world, they have a place to go.
Yes.
Instead of sitting in a wheelchair and, you know, with all other people in a wheelchair and just staring at the four walls, they can go places. Actually, they can go visit their families, and they can go to their memories with their photos that they've had over the years can be museums that they go visit. And we've seen it, we've done it, and it's amazing how that works. So I guess I'm really, I'm so excited about the technology, but I'm more excited about the empowerment it can give us. Yeah.
I think, and I want to pull back the grandfather VR kind of thing, because my exposure to VR and AR was first at, you're going to laugh, SIGGRAPH 1994, with these quasi caves,
Yeah, right.
and all of that kind of thing. And then here we are, 20 plus years later, and all of a sudden the curve is lifting. Two questions. First, where do you think we are in the curve of adoption, and is it going to? Are we gonna come to a sticking place and wait, or are we really pushing forward?
Well, that's a good question, and I get asked that question a lot.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you have the perspective of time.
And you know, we've been through cycles, many cycles, and I had today, what I'm seeing today is what I dreamed about, you know, in the late '60s, and that someday this would happen, and it is happening. I think that we are near a tipping point because of the momentum. We've never had this momentum before, and one of the reasons we have the momentum is the cost of the technology is way down from what it used to be. When I had to spend $1 million on a silicon graphics machine, you know, just to get the rendering I can get on my cell phone now. I mean, that's a showstopper.
How long did it take to do that rendering?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and so we have that now. We have high resolution screens. We have all these things that we didn't have before. Now, so the hardware technology isn't nearly the issue that we've had in the past. So, but the question is, do people really know about it? Yeah, certainly we do. I mean, the technologists know about it, but not the everyday person. They see it in the news and they think it's just another gadget, you know, gaming gadget and things like that. So I think that there's been disappointment in the marketplace that there hasn't been a faster uptake.
Yeah.
But I believe it will come. It's going to come. It may be led a little bit more by enterprise than people thought.
Okay.
And the enterprise people are going to be using this, and that's going to help the economy of scale, and that will bring the prices down and capability up. And then gradually, I think we're going to see this adoption. Now, we've have an enormous adoption of game platforms, you know, in homes, and like the Sony Space Station. There's a large install base there that where people can get into VR fairly cheaply with adding on what they already have.
Right.
And so we're going to see that emerge too. But still, it's what you do with it that's going to be important. Not what it is, but what it does. And that's where I think the pull is so important. And certainly in homes, the education pull. To be able to learn things probably better in homes than you can in schools, and to do these things as family.
To, and this may be a leading question, but you brought up the enterprise, and I think an awful lot about generational issues. So with the millennial, right, who is completely used to bringing their own devices in, what the devices can do, and then we have the generation who are Z, so they're what, like 8 or 9 years
Yeah.
old, and they're going to enter the
Yeah.
workplace in 10
Yeah.
years, and
Yeah.
who knows?
Yes.
I mean, will it be
Well,
a push from underneath, or how is the adoption?
That's another, yeah. I think that's interesting because I think it will be. I think what's happening is these kids aren't intimidated by technology. They love it and they pick up on it. I mean, even you see 2 years old running cell phones, you know. And so there is going to be enormous push. As a matter of fact, that's what made the Kickstarter campaign work so well for Oculus.
Oculus Rift, yeah.
Yeah, because there was this pent up passion for something. We need something more, and you know, when Palmer Luckey and the boys, you know, they sort of hit this nerve, and everyone was blown away, and that's what got it all started again. That and everybody looked around and said, "Well, yeah, we can do it now. We have all these amazing, you know, devices we carry around in our pocket, and graphic signal processors, and graphics computing." And so I think that we're going to see that passion coming from below, wanting more and more and more, and better and better and better. Now, not necessarily for learning, but for maybe playing games or whatever it is. But still, I think that's going to happen. I think and that's sort of what gives me hope that this is going to be sustainable this time, because the demand is going to be there in the general population, not just in the vertical markets, in the general population.
Last pitch for the Virtual World Society?
Well, yes, it's a non-profit 501c3, and we are looking for a membership. We'd like our goal for this year is a minimum of 10,000 members. We want to grow it in 10 years to 10 million families, and where families are members because they're like they were members of the National Geographic Society.
Sure.
And that's what we want to become, the National Geographic Society of VR, the Peace Corps of VR, and the PBS, Public Broadcasting System of VR, and get it out there where to do some good. And hopefully have the sponsorship of the companies to help us do that. But really in the end, it's about not the big fish, but a lot of little fishes who really want to participate, not only in what they receive, but what they can give, to become ambassadors, to become part of solutions for these problems, because we're going to be a proactive organization. We're going to go out there, we're going to have field laboratories, we're going to test these things, and we want to engage our membership in that process. And yeah.
What's the entry level for membership? Is there a price or
there is. I mean,
work
it's
commitment? Or
well, no, I mean it's really to right now our membership is $3 a month. To be a member of the Virtual World Society, and for this year you'll be a founding member of the Virtual World Society, and that will help us get the. Right now we're just a whole bunch of volunteers, but that'll get us some staff who can work on this full time that we need to have, and get us into our outreach program, and then we'll also, of course, when that interest is shown, then the companies start perking up and saying, maybe there is something we ought to invest in. And in that case, we'll have some corporate sponsorship. But in the end, what we're looking for is to go beyond that and go to, with these 10 million families, that in 10 years hopefully, where families are willing to subscribe to the Virtual World Society, not just a membership, but a subscription, where they receive content to use in their homes for their educational purposes and things like that. That'll be a little bit more. I mean, we're thinking about if we can get $10 a month. You spend this anyway, you know, and other things. On a coffee. But $10 a month, just think about it, $10 a month, it's $120 a year times 10 million. What could you do with that in terms of scholarships, in terms of building this marvelous content that goes to the homes and enriches everybody?
Amazing.
Yeah. That's the dream.
It's a great projection,
Yeah.
and I guess you're going to be the great grandfather at some point.
Well, I hope
Be
so. I
awesome.
hope I make it that long.
I'm sure you will.
Okay.
Thanks for
You
your
bet.
time.
Take care. Dean.